Hey, 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 look who's back on the podcast. Yes, I am Elizabeth Cheney, host of The In-Between. Happy to have you here. If you're new, welcome. If you are familiar, well, I'm sorry I have been MIA. Seems to be a theme in my life the past several months. Full disclosure, I recorded a whole episode prior to this one, was editing it, hated it. I was really in a funk when I recorded it this week. Just heavy, I would say heavy heart, but it wasn't quite heavy heart, but maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe I'm PMSing. I don't know. Either way, I recorded it. I was like, I don't feel it. I don't feel the energy. I don't feel the zhuzh. You know what I mean? And then also, for whatever reason, I decided to record it without my little puffer thing. I don't even know if I'm making that word up. But anyways, I don't know why I chose to do that. And it literally picked up every noise imaginable. So there was like this weird echo. You could hear, I don't know, the bees buzzing outside, the birds chirping, the helicopters flying. Either way, I was like, you know what? I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of my content. So I'm just going to delete that and try again the next day. So that is why this episode is late. And I fully intended on putting one out last week, but I decided to YOLO and extend my trip in New York. So there's so much to get into. My birthday was last week. The 3-year anniversary of the podcast was this past weekend. Just crazy. And then on top of all of that, I have decided to yet again take on one more major life change. I had to ask myself, am I addicted to chaos? And there might be some truth there. I'm not quite sure. But you know what? If there's anyone that can handle it, it's me. And I'm not just saying that. My friends have also said that. So it's nice to have that reputation. But also, I am losing my mind. I might have bit off more than I can chew. But you know what? I've said that before. And I've always made it through, pulled through all the things. So we'll see. If you're watching this, then you see I've got a little vest on. So I don't know if this is super millennial of me or whatever of me, but I started wearing a weighted vest when I walk. And then I was watching this video on TikTok and they were like, I wear my weighted vest when I clean, when I work, when I do all the things around my house, my home, and it helps with posture. It helps just give you like an additional little bit of a workout. It's the equivalent to wearing like, let's say ankle weights or something like that. And so I was like, you know what? Why don't I do that? I'm going to have the best posture in the game. And you know, I think I've talked about all my injuries from that car accident in 2017, but if not, here's a refresher course for you. Long story long on that. My shoulder is still pretty messed up, and actually, I'm not even going to get into it because this is not a health podcast. All this to say, your girl still got some injuries that will probably never go away, so you have to like work around those, and building strength is one of them, but my shoulder doesn't quite work the way it's supposed to, like how I'm sure yours does. And I was like, oh, this weighted vest is another way to, you know, build strength, build stamina. So, I'm not going to lie. With this ring light and this vest, I am pretty hot. So I'm not quite sure how long it's going to last. And also, I was just thinking about if I post clips of this episode, or should I say when I post clips of this episode, it's going to look a little weird if I'm just, you know, wearing this random ass vest without context. But then again, who cares? You know, who cares? You're already putting yourself out there on the internet. Someone going to judge you? I'm sure they will, but who cares? Again, who cares? So that's that. Before we get into everything to discuss, I just want to say I got the Invisalign. Of course, I'm not wearing it right now because if I was, this entire episode would just be shing, 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 shing. Hey guys. I can't get over the lisp. I don't know why. I've been wearing it for over 3 weeks now. And like you change out your retainer trays every 2 weeks. And thankfully, I don't have to wear these very long. It just goes till September. But I was not thinking about my single girl summer in Invisalign. Why did I have so much urgency in getting Invisalign when it's about to be summer and here I am going to be drooling all over myself kind of thing, kind of number. But you know what? It's fine. It just adds to the story. It adds to the character. My new catchphrase that I've been saying to anyone that will listen to me is for the plot. So when something bad happens, Rather than get down, I'm like, oh, it's for the plot, character building. If something ridiculous happens, I'm like, for the plot. If I find myself in a shenanigan, I'm like, for the plot. So everything henceforth is for the plot. Okay? Goes along with the whole be the main character of your story. Goes along with the whole I live my life like a movie, but for the plot. And let me tell you, there's been a lot of that happening. Some of which I absolutely cannot talk about on the podcast. So there's that. It's a little scandalous, a little scandalocious. It's a little, ooh, oh my gosh, what are you doing, girl? So take that as you will. Just being a little crazy over here. But, I can already tell recording this episode, I feel so much more hype, so much more in my mojo and my energy. So, yeah, screw that episode I already recorded. And it's not that it was, like, horrible. I'm sure y'all would have loved it, but I'd rather be in it and feel good about it and then put that out there because I don't want to waste my time editing something that I'm just not in love with. So, booyah, for the plot, Am I right? So Invisalign, that's great. I had some birthday shenanigans. Let's see. I was in New York with my mom, and we were leaving Sunday, Mother's Day. And one of my girlfriends, one of my best friends, Lisa, was like, hey, I'm coming up for a conference on Sunday. I'll be leaving on your birthday Wednesday, so why don't you just stay? You can work from the hotel. It's a free stay, and we can go explore New York in the evening together. And I'm like, don't twist my arm. Sounds like a plan. So I got my mom booked. Made sure she was good because she was like on a companion ticket. She was all set. I got mine squared away and booyah. I stayed in New York an extra few days. I was there for a whole week. So loved it. I'm definitely one of those people who's like, blink, blink, the magic of New York. I love it. And I just stare at the big buildings. And you know what? I don't care. New York is such a vibe. It's such an energy. I know a lot of people get overwhelmed by it, but I thrive in it. I don't know. I just... something about feeling so small in such a big populous city. I'm just like, stars in my eyes. Yes, sign me up. So I'll just say, like, me and my mom, we went and saw a Broadway show. I got to see Wicked on Broadway, so now I can humble brag. I'm seeing Wicked on Broadway. Not gonna lie. I boo-hooed like a baby in Defying Gravity. Let me just tell you, Defying Gravity, those lyrics hit a lot differently when you've gone through what I've gone through. You know what I mean? Like when you have separated and all that sort of thing and you chose yourself and you're taking the risk and you're literally defying gravity. Time to trust my instincts and leap. Like, I don't know. I was overcome with emotion. Also, some stuff had happened earlier that day that I don't want to get into, like too much personal business. But long story long, I was taken over by emotion and I just like, woo, the tears were coming. And I'm sure other people were tearing up here and there because it's a very powerful song. It's the end of Act 1. But my mother looks at me and she's like, are you okay? Get it together, girl. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to. I'm embarrassed myself right now. So that was cathartic, I'm sure, and healing in a weird way. But point being, Wicked on Broadway was incredible. Okay. The first time my mom and I went back in August, I was very calculated in the itinerary. I tried to hit specific places and it was all about the food. And I feel like this time it was more organic. Let's just see where we go. We did get to do the Embassy studio tour. That was so much fun. Y'all, I got to see the SNL stage. Pinch me moment. Not everyone who does this tour gets to see it, especially because like if you're on the weekends, they could be preparing for the show. But it was so cool to see Studio 8. Like, wow. And they were talking about how it hasn't changed. And it was so freaking cool. And then at the end of it, you and the group that you're touring with get to do like a little like mock news segment. And everyone voted me as anchor number 1. I was like, go figure. I was like, because I just talk too much. And then my mom ended up being the pop star, which is hilarious. And bless her little heart, her whole bit was improv. And if you don't know what improv means, it means you're like making it up as you go, more or less. And so she killed it. She killed it. I was just giggling so hard. Part of mine was improv. The two of us had the improv parts. But either way, it was so much fun. Great memories. Friggin' love New York. Gish darn. I even took the wrong subway. Now I can say I did that. Oopsie. But yeah, I loved it. And then me and Lisa, we got to go I was really fixated on rowing a boat in Central Park. And then she was like, I want to do that too. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll be your date. I'll row your ass around. So we go at sunset. Oh, so dreamy, so romantic for two girlfriends. And we just rowed your boat. And it was so much fun. It was a little more challenging than I thought. I guess I haven't really rowed a boat. I've kayaked, but that's just like one oar. This was like two. And that was like a lot going on with that. You know what I mean? So anyways, we survived. We did not tip over, and we lived to tell the tale. So that's great. And then we just bebopped around East Village. We ended up getting on standby for the Comedy Cellar one night, and we got in, and we got great seats. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. So funny. We had a wonderful birthday dinner. Lisa is one of my dear, dear friends. Love her so much. And yeah, we just lived our best life. It was great. On the way home, we were stuck on the tarmac for 2 hours because of weather delays. So that was not ideal, but you know what? It's okay. It was great. And then what's crazy is like that night, which was my birthday day, it was Wednesday, I had all these dinner plans with a bunch of girlfriends. I'm all about cultivating those friendships. You know what I mean? And I was like, shit, I'm going to be late. So then, bless my mother's heart, happy birthday to me. God bless, my mom is so incredible. She was like, I'll pick you up and I'll take you straight to dinner. And then I'll even take your luggage to your house. And I'm like, oh, Cindy, oh my God, I could cry. Thanks so much. All right, let's go. Bust a move, babe. Anyways, of course, I was very thankful and grateful. She drops me off and had so much fun. And I'm looking around at all the people, all the ladies, all my lady friends, and I've definitely gathered some new friends over the past year. And I would say even most of them I've only met in the past couple of years myself. And I saw this thing on Instagram the other day that was like the true biohacking, which I don't know the proper term of biohacking, but it's basically like you take I'm going to give you like a very probably not correct version of saying this, but it's like you do things, manipulate things, take vitamins, whatever to, you know, progress your life, to live longer. Like you're biohacking your immune system, your insides, so to speak, trying to defy time, right? I don't know. But it was talking about the true biohack comes from the environment in which you surround yourself. And most importantly, the people that you keep around you. And you know, I'm a big people person. I'm all about connection. I do think that's one of my love languages. It's one of my gifts. I mean, I wouldn't have this podcast if I didn't think I could connect with people. And I don't mean that in a braggy way. I'm just saying like that is literally my thing. Like call me an extrovert for sure. But I love people. I love meeting new people. I love hearing your story. I love getting to know you. And I don't have to ever see you again. I just want to, I don't know, take in your energy and, or maybe it's really just like an exchange of energy. I don't know. Now I'm like going off on a tangent here, but how much I love people. Remind me of this when I'm driving, because I can tell you right then and there, I do not love me some people then. Road rage for sure. But anyways, the true biohack is the environment you surround yourself, the people in your corner, the people around you. And I'm looking around at all these incredible women, and some are little groups of people, but most of them are strangers to each other. And I just had to take a moment and like take it all in and be like, wow, I have cultivated some incredible relationships, and then getting to see the sparks fly with other people and them connecting and becoming friends. And I hate to sound cheesy, but then again, that is my name. That is my game. But it was magic, and I could sense the magic, and not all of my favorite people could join. So for those listening who weren't there, don't worry. I still love you. But afterward, you know, we left dinner. We went to this place called Brew Dog to have some brewskis, but really just a tequila soda lime. And it was like a more intimate group because most of the people had to leave. And when we were all leaving, everyone was like, wow, that was something special. That was magic, right? And it was so, I was going to say crazy, but really just so wonderful. Everyone who was a part of that group messaged me separately either that night or the next day, talking about how magical and fun it was to be with that group of people. All different kinds of people. No one knowing each other before this. So am I saying that clearly I have figured out the biohacking rule? I would say I have. So, you know, hopefully listening to this podcast improves your life and makes you feel seen and valued and better. You know what I mean? Because that's the energy that I'm trying to put out there and the energy I'm trying to bring into my life, okay? Also, it is so mother effing hot right now with this motherfucking vest on. I got to take it off. Anywho. Oh my gosh. Wow. All right. For those listening, I'm very sorry. I wore it for the plot. There we go. There's that line again. But oh my God. Oh my gosh. Okay. Woo. It's not as heavy when it's on your back. When you hold it with one hand, it's like, oh my God. All right. So, anyways, had a great birthday and then celebrated this whole weekend. I went to this place called MJQ. It's like a dance club, which it's like, Elizabeth, you're 34. Why are you going to a club? Well, it was Southern hospitality night. So basically just like ATL rappers, cool hip hop music. And I wanted to dance, okay? Sue me, like whatever. And I had a friggin' blast, okay? It was hot as shit. And were we the oldest people there? Not quite, but we were up there. I'm just kidding. But we had so much fun. And then Saturday, I went to Heather McMahon with my girl, Ashley Anna. Heather McMahon had a whole thing on Invisalign. So that was very cool. Yeah, I know it sucks. Yeah, adult braces. Yeah. Imagine being single and doing it, you dumb fuck. Anyways, we digress. But it was so much fun. Ended up at a hookah bar after that. Haven't smoked hookah in a friggin' hot minute, but had a blast. Turned that place up, met new chicks. It was so much fun. Then we slept in till literally noon, 1 p.m. the next day. And I was like, gotta go. She had things to do. I had things to do. And here we are. And with that said, it's now time to, drumroll please. I mentioned some crazy life changes, another big life moment. I debated on even talking about this on the podcast, but then I thought, well, the podcast is all about authenticity and vulnerability and being truthful. Why not? I have nothing to hide. So I've decided to sell the house. I know, the house that you just bought and all the money you spent on the house, and you're definitely not going to get anywhere near that money back. But you know what I'm going to get back? Peace of mind. Big thing is, this house is expensive. I'm not even just talking about the extremely high mortgage, but even maintaining a home is expensive. And this is a lot of home. Like, this is a lot of home for little old me. Remember, I'm just a girl. In case you forgot. I have to remind myself that sometimes too. But it's too much home for just me. And I had been thinking about it for a while, but I would always get caught up on, oh, you're going to be a failure if you sell the house. You're going to lose so much money. And then I started to embrace this idea of like, but money will come back to you. It always does in some way. And is it my peace of mind more important than drowning in this home? 1000%. Especially because I'm clearly removing the shackles of all the things that hold me back, this house being one of them. I want to move more into the city or get a smaller home like a bachelorette pad, or spoiler alert, plot twist for the plot, let's not forget, I've really been thinking about moving to New York. Even if it's just for 3 months, 6 months, I don't know, but why not? I'm in a place in my life where I could absolutely do that. My job is remote. That would work. I'd probably come back all the time because my family is here and so is my friends, but why not? I also entertain Chicago. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to sell this house, and I'm manifesting it happens before we go to Greece. And then I'm going to be a little bit of a nomad for a minute here when I get back. And then I think I'm going to Airbnb a couple of weeks at a time in Chicago and New York and try different areas in both. See if one speaks to me. See if one makes me go, you know what? It's worth the risk. I'm going to try it. And if not, do my stint, have my fun for however long, and then come back and get a place in the city. Booyah. So all this crazy shit, birthday, travel, work is crazy, but it's okay because I like when work is crazy because it keeps me entertained. Said no one ever. I'm just kidding, but you know what I mean. We're doing some fun projects that really get to use my skills. Anyway, this is not a job interview. I'll continue on. But my friends are like, wow, you're trying to get this house on the market in how long? Like, that's no timeline. And what happens about your trip? What about this? What about that? I'm like, look, I'm the kind of person that once I make up my mind, I don't hesitate. I do it. I move forward. I do the thing. You might call it impulsive, but you're not thinking about all the times I overthought this very decision. And once I reached a place of peace and acceptance that, hey, I'm not a failure. You are going to be so much happier if you do this. Think about the extra income you have. You can do this. You can do that. You can get a smaller home that actually fits your needs and, isn't a 1,800 bajillion square feet. That's worth it. So I'm not being impulsive. And what's really cool, and I've already said this earlier in the episode, But I had one girlfriend in particular when I was telling them this. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is so much. This is chaos. But if there's anyone who can do it, I know it's you. I think you embrace that. I think you manage that really well." And I took a beat and I let that sink in. It's not that I love chaos all the time. Let's get that out there. I am hoping that this selling of the house is going to bring less chaos into my life, and I'm not going to feel as overwhelmed all the time. But to be known as someone who means what they say, says what they mean, does what they say, acts on that, does the dang thing, sees it all the way through, will always bet on themselves, because if you can't bet on you, who's gonna? Another catchphrase of Liz. Of course it's going to be me. So that was exciting. I have no idea what to expect with this. My goal is to get it listed in the next week or two. I am fingers crossed, hoping I don't have to repaint the living room, but you know what? We'll just cross that bridge when we get there, because one thing that we've been really working on the past several months is not worrying about things that A, we can't control, and B, things that have not happened yet. So really trying to embrace that. And honestly, I've talked about intrusive thoughts and things like that. The more you work at, easier it gets to manage. And it's really freaking true. I adopted that mindset in the beginning, however many months ago, not so much. But now I'm kind of like, all right, you know what? Yeah, out of sight, out of mind. Because it's not like I don't have 15,000 other things to do. So there's that. But on that note, while I have this space, because I got these cute little chairs, and I got my cute little background and all of this, cute, I am trying to rack in some guests. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guests lined up in the next couple of weeks. Going to come on the pod. We're going to have fun. We're going to take care. Oh, actually 6. Excuse me. I forgot the other one. That one's virtual though, but that's okay. Wow, I'm rambling on the podcast. Go figure. But I am going to not only pack up this house to sell it, I'm also going to record as many episodes as possible while I have it, because especially if I'm a nomad for a minute and then I go bebop around Chicago and New York, I don't know when I'm going to be back in Atlanta to have my podcast space again. So we're going to take advantage of that. We love it. Way to go, sweetie. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for a lot of the guests coming. I'm also trying to work on this one bigger named guest. I'm not going to obviously say the name, because that's like, putting the cart before the horse, and probably even mentioning this on the podcast is not the best idea, but we're manifesting that shit, people. We're manifesting it. So I really do believe it's going to happen. And yeah, we're going to see this play out. All I have to say is I am very excited for the future. And I don't say that to mean I'm not living in the now. I 1000% am. Remember, for the plot. You can't do for the plot in the future. The for the plot is right now. And with all of these crazy life changes, and thinking about on my birthday how everything was different a year ago. Everything, okay? Liz, a couple of years ago, would not have been able to handle all this change. Would not have been able to handle it. There's no freaking way. But me now, I'm like, bring it on. I look to the uncertainty, to the unknown future, whatever you want to call it, with excitement, with gratitude of what got me here, all the life lessons and confidence and all of the things inside my heart, my soul that bring me to this point. I can't wait to bring that into the next chapter, into the next era. And I say that, but I'm in that next chapter, next era. Just because I'm still shedding some shit does not mean I'm not there. And I have never felt more alive. I've never felt more excited. And I just, again, think back to just not even a few years ago. I'm not saying I wasn't confident or loving myself, self-love, all that, but all of this change, especially with how quick, a year, that's really not a long period of time for so much to happen. But I'm bebopping. And I'm walking with a little pep in my step, a little sway of the hips, a sashay, a smile on my face, and dare I say, the guts butt in my heart. As cheesy as it sounds, but that's who I am, and that's what this is about. This is a good segue into reflecting on the fact that the 3-year anniversary of the podcast was this past Saturday, the 17th of May. And I remember a period of time where I had no idea if I was ever even going to launch a podcast. And I've said this many times before, the podcast isn't necessarily my end game, my end goal, but it is the platform to get me to those goals, to be that public figure that people come to when they want giggles and self-love and empowerment and believing in themselves and reminding themselves that their dreams matter, their zest for life matters. And if not, like how to take charge and get that zest back. I want to be known for that. I always say the in-between is 1 part entertainment, 1 part empowerment. And that is so freaking true. And here I am, and not discrediting last year, because last year had a lot of great guests, but last year was really hard for me personally. Had to face a lot of shit. I had to finally take the call from in the back of the room and face myself in the mirror and go, okay, the call is coming from inside the house. I need to face that. Okay, got it. And I did the hard freaking thing. And for anyone who's done the hard thing, doesn't have to be my hard thing per se, but just a hard thing in their life, you know that it changes you. Hopefully it changes you for the better, because it shows you what you're capable of getting through and overcoming and still putting a smile on your face. Because remember, it is insane that we exist. It is insane that we get to live on this blue floating rock in the middle of this infinite universe, living our little lives, bebopping around, magic, love struck in New York City, kissing boys, picking flowers, cultivating incredible friendships, creating families, I don't freaking know, creating podcasts, I don't know, all the things. It's insane in the most beautiful freaking way. And so I reflect on the past 3 years, and kind of similar to reflecting on my birthday, God, so much is different from 3 years ago when I started this podcast. And not just in my personal life, but like the podcast. I have found my voice. I have found my cadence. I have found my strength. Hell, that's why I was like, the episode I recorded this week, not so great. We still falter. We still have speed bumps, and that's okay. Do I put out an episode every week? Not quite yet. I'm going to get back on it though. I guarantee you, once this house is gone, everything's going to be different for me. So reflecting on the podcast, I remember when I first started, the thing that was my biggest intention was consistency. Because I'd read everywhere that podcasts are hard to maintain because you burn out, because you don't get instant success. You don't get that clout. It takes you a long time to get there. Says me 3 years in, and I'm still not quite there. But life has happened, this and this has happened. I even said last year, I'm going to focus on growth this year. But nope, last year was like, we got lots of life challenges for you, baby girl. Hold your beer and just wait. But now, in 2025, I think about all the people I've met, even the interviews I have lined up, the ones that I'm nurturing, the bigger ones that I really do believe are going to pan out. I feel that momentum. Part of me thinks it's because I'm free. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean that I'm truly untethered. I finally feel my true self. My anxiety, I don't want to say it's non-existent because that would be a total lie, but it is so much less than it ever was. I literally walk outside and I just smile at the sunshine and the birds chirping and the leaves and blowing in the wind, all that silly shit, because I feel so alive. I feel so hopeful of the future. And, remind me of this conversation the week before my period when I'm depressed as fuck. But right now, no, we're good. Even if we do have freaking Invisalign. Yeesh. I reflect on 3 years and I think about everything that I've overcome, everything that I've taught myself, sound issues, production issues, trying to come up with different content ideas, meeting new people, and I'm doing the damn thing. I put myself out there. I was going to say every week, but we all know that's a lie right now. But I put myself out there consistently, and it's hard. Anyone who's a creator, entrepreneur, doing anything that sets your soul on fire, it is nerve-wracking because it's so vulnerable, because it's so close to you, close to your heart, right? And I'd like to think that I have always been authentic and vulnerable. And vulnerable doesn't necessarily mean crying, the blues, and things like that. I talked about this a few weeks ago. Vulnerability is authenticity. And you are always going to get that here. It's always going to be a safe space, even if you can't identify with the actual life experience I'm discussing or laughing about or whatever about. This connectedness of the human experience is what brings us all together. I think being authentic, because there's just not that much Okay, that's a lie. I don't want to say there's not that much authenticity out there, but there really isn't. Everyone's searching for something. Everyone's alone in some way, lonely in some way, in some regard of their life. And I think we feel that by being authentic and being comfortable with that and finding our people and finding our hobbies and finding the things that bring us joy and not being afraid to actually go forward in the thing that sets our soul on fire. So in this reflection of the in-between 3 years, I want to leave that message with you on what my intentions are with this, what will never change and will always carry me through no matter where we go with this podcast, speaking on stages. Gosh, I was going to say making a cookbook, but that would be such a lie. If I ever make a cookbook, y'all do not buy it because there's no way I should ever make a cookbook. Not that I can't cook, but I am not a cookbook gal. Like, let me just whip up a recipe. Wow, I digress. ADHD. But I want you to feel seen. I want you to feel loved. I want you to feel special because you deserve to feel that. And I can't thank you enough for being with me, especially if you've been here since the beginning. And if you're new here, well, baby, we're just getting started. 3 years in, and we are just getting started. I feel like I'm in a renaissance for my life, and that is absolutely beautiful. I don't know what the next 6 months hold, next 10 months, a year even, gosh, 5 years. But I know my dreams are going to come true. Because what I say, I'm someone who says what they mean and mean what they say. And watch it happen. Because if there's anyone I'm going to bet on, it's going to be me. And I hope you can feel the same way about yourself. Because you're worth betting on. You got to believe in yourself. And if you got to fake it till you make it, then so be it. But try. It's worth it. Because you never know. You never know what crazy life things will happen. So I appreciate you being patient with me as I get this episode out. I appreciate you listening. And if you're not doing so already, I'd love for you to support me. You can follow me on Instagram at in.betweenpod and my personal _, TikTok and YouTube at the In-Between Podcast. And if you're enjoying the show, I would love for you to share it with a friend, share it with a colleague, family member, whomever, and leave me a 5-star rating. Yes, I did say 5-star because your girl knows what she's about. But I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll see where the adventure takes us. Remember, for the plot. That makes life exciting. So until I talk to you next time, have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend, and I will see you on the next In-Between. I'm Elizabeth. Bye.